All right, I think we're working. We're live now, right? Sorry about that. Good to see everybody. Welcome to my photography shopping live stream where we go online and look for deals together. And let me know the audio and video is okay before we get any further. But yeah, I did find some pretty good deals today. You know, on some camera bodies and camera lens combinations over at B&H, and then I also found more filters on sale and tripods and bags and all the usual suspects that I like to cover in these streams. Just to help really beginning photographers getting into the craft. The basic core accessories that every photographer needs. We always need a camera bag to hold our stuff. I always recommend filters like circular polarizers and ND filters. Uh, and then tripods. You gotta have a tripod, maybe a monopod on top of that later. And then lenses and other accessories, batteries, battery chargers. These are the core things that we as photographers, use every single day, right? Or almost every day and on a regular basis. I didn't look for any flash deals today. Flash is another big one that I think is one of the core essential photography accessories every photographer needs. And then there's a lot of miscellaneous things that you can get into, like nodal rails, indexing rotators, stuff if you want to get into more specialized things like panoramas and 360 photography. But as always, if you guys have anything you're looking for in particular, I can help you find, a decent product at a decent price at different price points. Ideally, it's going to be entry level or budget, but some of the high end stuff, I can sort of explain the differences there because a lot of times, you spend a lot more just to get a little bit more, but sometimes that little bit more is what matters, right? So, I've been doing photography for over a decade now. So I've accumulated a lot of stuff, bought a lot of stuff. And I'll start out actually. I did buy a couple of things from last week that hopefully some of you jumped on it, but I got this trigger in. This came in last week. It was like $3.75. It's now back up to $36. And the only thing you needed to do if you wanted to make this work with any camera or most cameras that have a 2.5 millimeter jack is you needed a 3.5 to 2.5 millimeter cable adapter, and those are like $5-6. So all in, you're in like $9 on this or less. And anyway, now the trigger by itself is $36. So this was a great deal last week, so I'm glad that I was able to share that with you, and I got mine. Also, I got my 16 stop ND filter in. So this is like for shooting the sun or doing extremely long exposures. And I've only had a chance to do a couple of test shots on this. So I'll share those with you, but I think I paid $10 for this or $11. I can't remember. It wasn't very much, but this is more of a specialized type filter, right? I wouldn't recommend this to beginning photographers unless you want to try stuff. But at this price point, why not recommend it to everyone? Because eventually you may want to do some super long exposure photography in bright daylight. Or take pictures of the sun. Although this is not ideal for taking pictures of the sun, primarily because the filter size that was on sale is this was a 58 millimeters. Typically when you're shooting, the sun and things like that, the moon, like the lunar eclipses or solar eclipses, you're going to be using a telephoto lens and you need a much bigger filter. But this is really good for doing live comp and other long exposure, things like that. And it came with 3 microfiber cloths from K&F on top of that. So that was a particularly good deal. And then also I wanted to share with you just something that kind of came up. But you know, all the filters come in these plastic boxes. Not all, but a lot of them do. They come in plastic boxes when you buy them individually. And I found these are great little holders for batteries. You know, so I can fit 2 in this one. Some cases are a little bigger than others, so I can probably fit more batteries. This one I was able to fit in 4 smaller batteries, so I have my TG5 and LX100 batteries in here. These are my EM5 Mark III batteries. This is a great way to carry your batteries so that the contacts don't touch other things in the bag, and it's just more secure. So just a thought, you know, instead of throwing these away, which I used to do because I would buy, you know, I would buy filter holders, cases, a lot of times. And now I thought this might be a good use. Just sharing some thoughts. Okay, so there's that. And I think I did get something else. I can't remember now. But, you know, when we're talking about items that are like in the $10 or less range, that are normally much more expensive, like this trigger, eventually you're going to use one of these or need one of these, and it's a great, there's no reason not to jump on it, right? And if you don't use it, you can give it away, right? Because you didn't spend that much on it to begin with, which I've done with a lot of accessories. I just give away. So, okay, let me see who's here. I see Anthony's here. It's looks like he's got weather report going on, and some travel tips, it looks like. So thanks for sharing that. Now's a good time to come to Newfoundland. I don't know if doesn't look like my chat is popping up on screen. Let me try this. Okay, there it goes. Very good. All right, and oh, Eric's here. Good to see you, Eric. Did you get your Q3? Did you pick that up the other day? It'd be fun to go out and shoot with that. And Jeff is here. Good to see you. And Robert, good to see you. And Paul, 90 degrees. So you got the AC on. Oh my God. So jelly. You can see how I'm dressed, right? We're supposed to get up to about 48 degrees today. So that'll be somewhat comfortable. At the very least, I don't have to turn the heat on in my house, right? I can just save money by not turning on the heat, because that's my biggest expense in the wintertime is my heating oil. Okay, and then audio video is good, great. And Ethan, good to see you. Let's see, an ATR Bear and RBA Nosa, good to see you. RBA Nosa, I'm sorry, and John follows. In the sunny UK, that's rare, I hear, right? Getting sun in the UK. And Ethan says, I'm looking for flash that would sync with my Mamiya 67 Pro SD. The flash is supposed to connect to the lens where there's a port, X-Sync it's called. I never shoot flash. Okay, so really all you need is any flash that has a PC sync port. So there's a couple of ways to do it. Oh, let's see. PC sync cables. There we go. And let me get my RB67 is a film camera, you know, medium format, for those of you that don't know. But I'm going to use my Hasselblad as an example. And then Let me grab a flash that has a PC sync port. I have my, oh, well, this one works. All right, so you want to look for a flash. It doesn't have to be a fancy one like this. It can be a cheaper one. But what you're looking for is one that has like this 2.5 millimeter jack built in. A lot of them have this, even smaller ones. I don't know what size flash you need or what output power you need, but even small flashes like this one, like even this Godox, and this is on sale now for $35. Uses AAA batteries rather than, say, you know, irreplaceable, unreplaceable lithium-ion batteries. But this also has a PC sync port there. I have batteries in here. I can just use this. Yeah, there's some in there. Hopefully they're charged up. They should be. They're not. Oh wait, no, it is on. And then what you need is a, where did I put, oh here. What you need is a PC sync cable. So it looks kind of like this. It has a single pole on this end, right? And then on this end, it kind of looks like this, right? So just to give you some perspective. So you just simply plug into the hole this side, and then on your lens, probably very similar to mine, right? There's a tiny PC sync port on the lens. It kind of looks like this on mine. And this just plugs into here. Oops. Like so. And now, let's see, do I have my plate? Yeah, I have my, to make sure I have my plate in there. Oh, good. So what I can do, oh, this is already cranked, it looks like. I don't know if you can see, but this flashes when I fire the trigger. I'll do that one more time just in case. Oh, it's recycling, but that's how that works. And I'm not as familiar with the RB67, but if it has a leaf shutter, you know, you have sync speeds typically up to 1/500th of a second on these older medium format cameras. So, you know, you can probably buy the cheapest manual flash that uses AA batteries for like $50. A lot of those have PC sync ports. You just need the cable because they don't normally come with the cable, so you have to buy that separately. And then you're all set. Now, if you want to do off-camera flash, a couple of options. You can get a really long PC sync cable, which I don't recommend, but you could do it that way. Maybe you only need about 3 feet because you do a lot of macro photography. You might be able to get away with just a long PC sync cord. Or a lot of wireless triggers have PC sync ports in them. So you could do it that way. And you can fire using a wireless radio trigger system any flash off camera with a film camera. So let me know if that answered your question, if that made sense, or if you have any other questions, I'll try and address those. Okay, and then Ethan says, I'm also looking for a 10-stop 77 millimeter thread. Okay. Let's go over to my deal page. So before we go any further, I'm an affiliate for Amazon and B&H. So I'm going to be showing you some things from their websites. And if you buy anything, it supports the channel. I earn a commission and it's greatly appreciated. And ideally, if you can use the links within the same day, because the cookies expire and a lot of times I don't get credit, even though you guys are buying things from me. And also, you know, ad blockers and things like that tend to erase any kind of tracking that I get if you guys use my links. So keep that in mind. But anyhow, let me see. 77, 10 stop. I don't think. Let me just double check. I didn't see any when I was looking around. Let me see if there's a good one in here. That's not bad. 15% at checkout. So let's bookmark that one. Oh, hold on. My page froze here. my window froze. Crap. What could be causing that? We'll come back to you. Right now, it's not. Hopefully the stream is still going, but right now my Google Chrome just froze. I don't like it. And then Arbe Nosa asks, will a generic Bluetooth shutter release work on the OM1? No. I haven't found a generic Bluetooth shutter release yet. Right now we're stuck with the OM system version. They have a Mark II out that you need to get. It's like 100 to 120 bucks depending where you shop. It should be like I would pay 50 bucks for an OEM, but when we're talking about $100, that seems kind of like a lot for what it is. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a generic one. But you know, a generic one never came out for the OM1 Mark I, and it's been years, right? So we may never get one. Now, if you have an OM1, then you can just use a generic shutter release like this that has a transmitter and receiver. So it's not as elegant as just a simple Bluetooth one, but this gets the job done. And this is what I use on my OM1 and EM5 Mark III and various other cameras, Fujifilm, Canon, etc. Oh, okay. So my window came back. All right, so there's this one. This is not a bad deal, 30 bucks. And then there's 15% off this way. Let me fix one other thing here. So if I add this to the cart, so 15% would be what, 5 bucks? So you're paying 25. And then if I go to my cart, proceed to checkout, I would show you the screens, but it has personal information. Okay, so I can show you this screen. So this one's $30, and then there's a promotion, 15% off. I click that coupon code, and then it comes out to $27.48. I have another $1.14 in, you know, cashback, but that's how that works. So that's not bad, but it'd be nice to get the 10-stop filter closer to $10 or $11, right? Because that's where we need to be. Here's one. That's got a terrible rating, though. I found one for $15, but it's You know, if an ND filter, a solid ND filter in particular, has anything less than a 4-star rating, it's going to be crap. Because how hard is it to make a solid ND filter that you would get less than a 5-star rating, really? Most of them are 4.5, 4.6, you know, because they're not that hard to make. Ah, that's an ND64. See. Right now, it looks like that one I just showed you is the best deal. Oh, here's one. Got it. All right, now we're talking. 10 stops. So I'm going to add this. It's not on sale, but $10. I'll add this to the deal page. So this reflex camera, 77 millimeter. All we care about is if the threads fit. Yeah, DSLR and mirrorless camera. Yeah, so we're fine. $10.49. And see, it has a 4.6 rating. So that's where it should be. It shouldn't be that hard to make a 10-stop ND filter. Okay. Let me get rid of this one. So forget about the other one we looked at. I would get this one. And I answered this question. And Ethan says, I've got the TT350, never used it. Maybe that will work with the camera. Yes, I believe the TT350 has the pin. Let me look. You know, I don't see a PC sync port on this one. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no PC sync port on this anywhere. Sorry, Ethan. Not going to work with the TT350, unfortunately. There's no PC sync port. So you're going to have to get another flash. But yeah, just buy like $50 or less, or, you know, you can find them used for even less than that. Let's see. I can tell you, this has a PC sync port, 20 watt second. That's a pretty powerful one. The TT600 will have one. Of course, there's these very high end. I would think for what you're doing, you wouldn't need much more than, say, this $20 flash, but there should be a $10 one somewhere. They go on sale for 10. The IM30, the one I just showed you, that one has it. And that's got a guide number 15. That's a pretty good deal. I can add this to the deal page. The only problem with the IM30 is the recycle time is decent on fresh batteries, but it degrades pretty quickly. So if you're using it at very low power, I mean, I like the IM30 because the dials are easy to use and it's easy to set the power. But, you know, the battery life and the recycle time, after you go through, you know, 20 or 30 full power shots, it degrades. It starts to degrade pretty quickly and you have to wait, you know, 5 seconds or so. But if you're using it like 1/8 power, obviously you're not going to have too many misfires. But a better flash, you know, you really should spend closer to $50 if you want to do focus bracketing and things. Oh my God, the TT600 shouldn't be $70. I would go. There's got to be a TT600 for less, 65. These used to be like $50. Godox has one other flash, but I don't recommend that one because it's not an X wireless. So this would be the best bet. If you want to stay within the Godox family and have that X wireless trigger compatibility, like the TT350 will fire together with the TT600 and TT350 will work together, fire each other off camera. So, oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about the RB camera. Yeah, with the RB camera, you want to get something like this. Something with a little more juice to it. I don't. Newer has some pretty good flashes too. Let me take a quick look. Gosh, they're not. Here's one for $40. See if that has a PC sync port. This is the Godox flash I was referring to earlier. This one is cheaper, but it doesn't. It's not X wireless compatible. So you might as well buy a more generic flash. All right, so let me see if this has a PC sync port on it. Yeah, there's a PC socket right here. $40. I know this has been cheaper, but things have just been going up. Let's see if this has been on sale ever. Not really. It was $2 cheaper. But you know, this is four AA batteries. Has a guide number 33, so it's pretty powerful. So this would be kind of a good flash if you want to stay budget, right? Anyhow, if you want to look at a little higher end stuff, I can show you those as well. Okay. And let's see. I'm going to buy a Fuji XM5 for personal use, mostly street photography and portraits. I'm getting one for around $900 with a kit lens. Should I go for it? So I think the XM5 is better suited for videography because it has some additional video features. If you can stretch to an XT30, because it has the EVF, that's going to be a lot easier for doing portraits and street photography. Without the EVF, sometimes it can be hard, especially in street photography when you're outdoors, to see the screen, right? So I would step up a little bit to an XT30, or if you can really stretch, an XT50. But an XT30, I think they're up to version 3 now, but all of them are pretty much the same, whether it's version 1, 2, or 3. Find the cheapest one of those different versions, and I would kind of stretch to that. So, for example, let's go to B&H. And if we look at B&H X-T30, let's see what they have here. So this is coming with a kit lens, and I think that's what you said, right? You're getting it with a kit lens. So this is going to be $250 more. See if they have any deals. I don't see any deals. But if we look at the XT30 version 3, this this also looks like, this has a regular tilt screen, and I think the XM5 rotates all the way around. So a lot of street photographers prefer this style screen. I'm fine either way, but what I want to emphasize is having this EVF makes a big difference. And let me see if there's one. This has IBIS or anything on it. No, yeah, I don't think the XT30s have image stabilization built in, just like the XM5. There's no image stabilization. But yeah, so if you're thinking about street and portraiture, I highly recommend getting a camera that has an EVF if you want to go with Fuji. And the XT30 is their cheapest one that they have, other than the XM5. They're basically the same camera, except one doesn't have an EVF. So you're paying a $250 premium to get that EVF, but I think long term, that's going to be the better choice. Okay. Rob, does anyone on Amazon sell trichrome filter sets? Oh, I don't know. I've never looked. Let me just take a quick look. Of course, you're in the UK or somewhere, right? So the trichrome. I don't see any. I mean, I know they have them. It's just not coming up when I search for it as a trichrome. But B&H has them. This is the one we want. Let me see if Amazon has it. I think this one here, this has been on sale before. But this should have all the red, green, and blue. When this goes on sale, I'm going to get a set of these. I should have got it the last time it was on sale, because I think it was down to like $25 or something. I don't know if the price history will show it. Look at the 90-day. It was on sale for like 30. Looks like it was $2 cheaper, but I know it's been cheaper than that. So this has more than trichrome, obviously, but you have your blue, you have green and red. So red, green, and blue filters, that should be effectively the same as a dedicated trichrome filter set. And A-Cuber says, I can surely stretch my budget up to $1,800. Okay, what in reference, did I miss what you're looking for though? I don't see. So A-Cuber, if you're, oh, you were asking about the XM5. Okay, so if you can stretch to $1,800, that opens up a whole nother level of cameras, right? But they just get bigger. So let's go to B&H, and they have some deals. And I have a link, B&H, a generic B&H link down below. So if you do decide to buy through B&H, you can click on my link first. That would help. All right, so let's go to deals, and give me a second. Photography, digital cameras. Definitely want to go mirrorless. And just follow my workflow here, because deals and rebates. And then we'll sort by low to high. All right, so the G7, nice little camera, but these are budget entry level 10-year-old cameras. Yeah, that's too old. R100's too old. The Z30, I wouldn't recommend that. No EVF, no EVF. The R50, no flash sync port. I mean, yeah, it has one, but you have to get an adapter. And this is getting a little long in the tooth also. The first camera I would recommend for street, if we're just sorting by price, here we go. OM5, very nice. The OM5 has really awesome face detect. So if you're going to rely on face detect, you know, this is the first camera I would go for street photography. And obviously the lenses and everything that are available for Micro Four Thirds. If you're familiar with Micro Four Thirds system, this is a really good place to start. I do have a link to this camera down below directly because this is one of the big camera deals they have going on right now. You can get it with a kit lens for $749. Is that right? Wow. So why buy body only when you can get a free kit lens with it right here? Oh, no, that's the EM10. My bad. My bad. Okay, so after Micro Four Thirds, we have our 50. It's going to be probably the Canon R7, but let me keep going. So many variations, right? I'm gonna switch back to my normal screen because it's annoying when the screen is scrolling, right? Canon RP. That's not a bad camera. But there's, you know, it's a full frame option. So I'm looking at this one. But the problem with this camera, now if one of my viewers, Lauren, uses this camera for his street photography, and they have some great lenses that are relatively affordable. You can get the 35 1.8, the 50 1.8. These are like $300 lenses. And you can get fabulous results with just the basic Canon kit lenses. And the Canon kit lens, the 24 to 105 f4 to f7 point something, that's the one that I have. It's not a very compact setup for street, but it's very versatile and it's relatively inexpensive. It's like a $400 lens, but it gives you a lot of range. This is a popular setup though, the RP with a 35. But if you want to get a kit zoom lens, you know, then it starts to get a little bit bulky. The ZFC is kind of a fun little camera, but not at that price. I wouldn't pay $1,000. Z5 is pretty popular for street, and that's a pretty good deal there. But if you want to go up to 1800, all right, let's look at some $1,800 cameras. Now we're talking, you know, we're talking OM1 money, right? OM1 Mark 1 anyway. But, you know, starting with an XM5 in this conversation, you're looking for something small and compact. So let's see. I think that's it. I think your best bets are either the Fujifilm X-T30 or the OM System OM5, right? Both of them are excellent cameras. And I think the OM5, I would give a little edge to the OM5 for more general purpose type photography. But the XT30 is no slouch. It has some advantages there, just having a larger sensor. And it has the regular tilt screen rather than the fully articulating. But both of them have very similar EVFs. I think the EVF in the OM5 may be even a little nicer. I used to have both, I used to have the XT30, but I got rid of it because I didn't care for the workflow with the dials and the menu system. I much prefer the workflow of the OM5 with the standard PASM dial, that has, PAS and M, rather than working with the lenses. The aperture ring would be on the lens, the shutter speed would be up here. That's really the old school way to do it, like a film camera. And some people like that, but I just prefer, if I'm going to use a digital camera, I'd rather have more digital controls that can be reassigned, because like the shutter dial on the XT30, you can't change it to something else, right? Whereas, on a regular digital camera, you can assign front and rear dials to be anything you want. So that's kind of why I prefer the workflow here. And I get it. The XT30 has the little tiny wheels in the front and back, but it's not the same. So I don't think you need to spend $1,800, because that takes you really into really much bigger cameras. Certainly more capable cameras, but they're much bigger, and it's not ideal for street. You want something kind of pocketable. The other option would be like the Fujifilm Xe5. That's around $1,600, and that's a nice little rangefinder camera. But with the kit lens, you're going to be up over $1,800 is the problem. So we're back to the XT30, maybe even the XT50, which gives you a 40 megapixel sensor. But I think the 26 megapixel sensor in the XT30 is superior over the 40 megapixel, particularly for street. Okay, and Juan says, hello, sensor cleaner. Is VSGO cleaner or KNF or Altura for the best? And what would you recommend? Okay, so let me see what the VSGO does, because there's a lot of different ways to clean a camera, right? So the VSGO cleaning kit, they have a lot of variety here. And then if we look at KNF's cleaning kit, and what was the other brand? Altura. Altura is usually a pretty good deal. But they include, whoops. Okay. In the VSGO. I mean, if you were talking about only cleaning the sensor, doesn't matter which one you get, just get the cheapest one, okay? That comes with the little tube with the eyedropper that drop onto the thing. But the VSGO is 6 pieces, and you have to get the right sensor size. Just looking. I'm sorry, I'll show you the screen. I'm just looking at the variations here. And then VSGO. These all look pretty good. The cheapest one is it looks like this one from K&F. So the main things are, okay, so we have the cleaning solution, We have a little duster, right? An air blower, and we have a brush, some microfiber cloth, some Q-tips, and we also have the sensor swap cleaner over here. This looks like the best deal, and there's a 16 millimeter and a 24 millimeter, so it depends. I believe this 16 millimeter one will work with micro four thirds because our sensors are 17 millimeters wide, so you'll be okay with this one. If you have an APS-C camera or full frame, you want to go with the 24 millimeter. You just swipe up instead of down, or vice versa, right? But you want to make sure you have an air blower. The little brush is good for just cleaning, you know, in between the dials and things. You use the brush to clean that. Don't use the brush on the sensor. You want to use the air blower on the sensor and then use the cleaning swipes on the sensor itself. The one thing that's in here, they have this little stick pen thing. I would only use the brush end. The other end has sort of a suction cup looking thing on it. Let me see, I don't use that at all. Just use the end here that has the brush on it. That you can keep in your bag because the brush retracts into the pen and it stays relatively clean. But you want to, you need all of these things if you're going to clean your sensor. You need the blower, you need the swabs, the sensor swabs, and the cleaning solution. And the fact that it includes like a couple of brushes and some microfiber cloth, I think makes this a good deal. Okay, so I'll add this to my deal page, and don't forget to click the coupon. So it's $26.99 with the coupon, and that's a pretty good deal. Okay. Oh, so you're getting the Fuji for the film simulation. So yeah, XT30 or XT50, either one of those two cameras are really good. The XT50, like I said, has the 40 megapixel sensor, but personally, I really prefer the 26. And Henning's here. Good to see you, Henning. And Juan says, thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome. And let's see, talking about K&F, what are your thoughts about the batteries, planning to buy spare batteries from them? They're no better than any other generic batteries. So if you're just buying the battery itself, just buy the cheapest one you can find. If it's going to be generic like K&F or Newer has some, the other big one used to be Wasabi, they're all the same. The best way to buy spare batteries is to buy it together with a charger, because the charger will add $5 to $10 to the price, and you can keep that charger because you probably have a charger at home already, or you're charging in camera, which I generally try not to do. But you can keep that extra charger in your car so that you can charge batteries while you're driving to the location. So that's the best way to buy. So buy like a dual charger, and then if you buy a dual charger, you can charge two batteries at a time. There's a lot of variations there. But I like to buy the ones that have removable plates so I can swap batteries from different camera brands, because I usually carry multiple camera brands or multiple different types of cameras that use different batteries, even if they're within the same brand. Okay, so for example, this is a dual plate charger. I got two spare batteries plus the charger, and it was only like $10 more to get the charger. And what I do is I have these plates, they're removable like this. So what I do is when I buy spare batteries, I'll get two spares, maybe three, with the charger, but it's only designed for, say, in this case, I would get two BLX1 plates with the charger. Then I would buy another one, and I'll get two DL90 plates. And then I just interchange the plates, so I have one of each on each charger, and I'll keep one in the car, and then I'll keep one here at home. So that normally I have time, I will charge everything at home the night before I go out. Or if I'm in a rush, I have the same exact thing in my car, so I can charge whatever I need to all in one. So there's this style, okay? And I do have on my deal page, so it's robtrek.com/deals. It'll take you to this page here. So you can see I just added the filter kit, the cleaning kit, the flash, these filters. But this is kind of the newest rage. I don't know what camera you have, but this one's for like this is the smaller Canon battery. This style charger, this charges the batteries very quickly, and it has a lid. So I have so you're getting 2 batteries and the fast charger for 30 bucks. That's a really good deal, because I remember when the charger alone from Elano used to be like $60, $70 all by itself without the spare batteries. But when you have a lid like this, it's easier to travel with the batteries. You don't have to do, you don't have to do things like I did, by putting the batteries in a separate case. You can keep it like this and it'll charge it very fast, and it has a quick indicator to let you know the charging status of the batteries. So I can see these are at 48%. But the batteries that are in here need to be charged. And this came with generic batteries. And there's a memory card holder in here. Keep a spare memory card. So you can go with, like, this is on sale now. This is a really good deal if you have a Canon camera. You get a dual fast charger with a lid. And it's very easy to travel with, and it charges the batteries very quickly, like twice as fast as, say, the charger I just showed you with the dual plates. So those are the 2 ways to go. But if you're going to buy spare batteries, I would buy just I would buy it with a charger for like $10 more. Okay, how often should you clean your sensor? Only when necessary, as little as possible, is my opinion. So if you start to see spots in your photography, like in your images, then you might want to clean your sensor. Try using an air blower first to see if it'll come out with that. And if that doesn't work, then you can try the sensor cleaning swabs. It's not difficult. I don't, if you're a little bit uneasy about it, then take it in, and some places will do it for free. A lot of places will charge you $100. So that's why it kind of makes sense to try and learn how to do it yourself. And there's a lot of great tutorials. Gavin Hoey did one live, right? So if you look for Gavin Hoey sensor cleaning on YouTube, he'll walk you through it from from beginning to end, because he had some pretty bad sensor spots on his camera. But yeah, I haven't cleaned a sensor personally. It's been about a year. It's been about a year for me, because usually I can kind of get away with just the blower. So I've done the blower thing many times. And I will show you. Let's go back to my deal page. Yeah, the little hand blower that you see here. Something like that usually works. I use one of these. I shouldn't tell you this. It's not recommended to use one of these to clean your sensor, but I do it. I just blow air. Because the problem with this is you can catch debris in the back of in the back of the vacuum. This is not a vac, but in the back of the blower, and that could hit your sensor and put a scratch on your sensor. I don't recommend doing this, but that's what I do. Okay, let's see. Anthony says, is there lens cleaners that I should stay away from that could damage the coatings on expensive lenses? Well, I'm not aware of any. If they're designed to clean lenses, they shouldn't affect the coatings. But the way I was taught was to use Q-tips and cotton swab and basically rubbing alcohol 90%, and use that and distilled water to clean. So that's what I was taught. That Zeiss also sells lens wipes that are designed primarily for like prescription reading glasses or prescription glasses. You can get lens wipes from Zeiss. That's probably, that's another way, right? But yeah, try to minimize cleaning lenses and sensors and anything that has a coating on it or is very sensitive to scratches. Just try to minimize that as much as possible. But if you have to, if you buy an off-the-shelf one, I'm not aware of any that are designed to clean lenses that would affect the coatings. But usually when you look at, if you look at the manual for that comes with the lens, they will give you cleaning instructions. So I would look in the manufacturer's manual for the lens to see if there's any specific cleaning instructions for it. And Larry's here. Good morning, Larry. And hiker dude, how you doing? Why did it says, how do you use any type of fireproof storage for your power banks and batteries when not in use for an extended period of time? I do not. So in the 10 years that I've been using generic batteries or batteries in general, I've never used a fireproof case. I'm not now, but you have to keep in mind best practices, right? Make sure contacts don't touch each other, things like that. When you're charging batteries, I have a dedicated charging station that is less susceptible to burning and damage if a battery should explode while it's charging. But yeah, take every precaution that you feel necessary. And Chuck says clean room swabs are great for getting little specks of dust. They are foam and don't leave residue behind. Okay, that's cool. Appreciate that. Like I said, I so rarely clean my sensors and lenses that, no, I've used Zeiss wipes before though. Those work pretty well. And they make Q-tip signs. Okay, thank you, Chuck, for sharing that. And Simon Tech, sorry, I'm jumbling up the name there. But Rob, I saw your review of the Godox IT30. Have you used the IT30 in the field? I'm thinking getting something very portable during the summer hiking our summer day. Can this work as fill? Yes. It has enough power for fill. Yeah, if you're talking about less than like 3 meters, it's gonna have more than enough power as a fill flash. Uh, you're not gonna overpower the sun or anything like that, but yeah, it's no problem. I typically go out in the field with much bigger flashes, like this V480, but I can get away with an IT30 if I just want fill flash. I seem to recall OM sensors have vibration component that cleans them. Yeah, they have some kind of micro thing that goes on. A lot of camera sensors, a lot of cameras have that built in, some kind of micro vibration or supersonic, sometimes it's called. that that works pretty well, at least on the OM system cameras. I've rarely had to, clean sensors. As I've mentioned, I rarely have to clean my sensor. That said, like my Canon and my Sony also have that same technology, right? Some kind of ultrasonic wave motion thing to clean the sensor every time you turn the camera on and off. And within the first few times I took those cameras out, I had dust on the sensor. And yeah, it's annoying. And I had to get my blower out to clean it out because the ultrasonic thing didn't work. But on my OM system cameras, very rare that I have dust on the sensors. Now my Pen F has gotten pretty dirty over time, and it needs a cleaning. I haven't cleaned that thing in years. That definitely needs a cleaning. And I think my EM5 Mark III may have had a spot on it. But for the most part, yeah, the OM system cameras seem to do a really good job with keeping the sensors clean from just loose dust and dirt. But if something sticks to it, then I try to use a blower. And if I actually get a spot on the sensor that doesn't blow off, then I have to use a sensor swap cleaner. And I have some for my APS-C cameras that I bought, and I just cut them with a pair of scissors so that it fits in there, because I so rarely clean Micro Four Thirds. I didn't want to buy a whole set of those, but I have to always clean my APS-C and full frame cameras with them. So I buy the full frame size and then I cut them with scissors to fit Micro Four Thirds. Okay, so let's go to my deal page. I wanted to share with you some of the things that I found, and you guys can continue to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them. So here's 50% off a True Color ND and CPL. So this is a combination circular polarizer and ND filter all in one, up to 6 stops. $35 for 72 millimeter thread. So if you need that size, the 49 is also on sale, the 49 millimeter. But if you need either of those two sizes, this is a great deal. And it's important that it's a true color, so it minimizes your work in correcting white balance and things like that. Because you will get a color shift regardless of, with any CPL or particularly ND filters, variable ND filters, you will always get a color shift. But when it says true colors, that color shift is pretty minimal, and you can almost get away without having to correct it in post-processing. Okay, this one's not on sale. It has a 10% coupon here, but this is a particularly good deal. $23 for a true color variable ND filter. This does not have the circular polarizer function built in, but variable ND filters by design are actually circular polarizers. Now, the trick is you have to be able to adjust the rotation, but that's we're making things too difficult. For $10 more, you can get one that has both, or for $10 more, you can buy a circular polarizer separately. It's worth $10 to just get them separately, or get them all in one. But sometimes you don't want to use an ND circular polarizer, right? You don't really need one for a lot of photography, but you do need a variable ND filter. Now, variable ND filters are more popular with videographers, but for photography, the variable ND filter is really useful, not so much for getting super long exposures, but for getting longer exposures than you normally would, but also for flash photography. It's very, very useful in helping you bring your flash or your camera down to the proper sync speed. And sometimes you don't need a solid 5-stop. You want to have this to be able to adjust it. So I think $23 is a really good deal for this particular filter. Even though it's not on a great sale, it's hard to find them at that price point. Like this one here. This one is a variable ND filter also for basically the same price. It's basically the same filter. but it's a 62 millimeter thread. The 58 is also not a bad deal. But right now the 62 is like for the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro lens, and many other micro four third lenses use 62 millimeters. 58 and 62 are kind of the most common filter thread sizes that you would use in micro four thirds for the lenses that you'd be doing this kind of work. This is another filter I really like. I paid $23 for mine. With this kind of filter, you don't have to worry too much about the filter thread size, because most of the time I just hold the filter in front of the camera and move it around. But this thing gives you some crazy effects that it's just a lot of fun. So if you like to just make goofy pictures, like, you know, and have some fun and experiment, you know, just buy the 67 or the 77, depending on, you know, like in my case, I bought the 58 and the 62. I believe I have both. But you know, I have fun with this filter sometimes. I used to have some good examples of the photos from this. Let me see if I can find one of my own. Yeah, here. So this is using the swirly bokeh filter that I just showed you, right? It does crazy when you have speculars like from fireworks or from city lights. You know, you can get some really crazy effects with it. So I like this one. You can make this effects very subtle, like I said, by not having the filter on the camera, but by putting the filter in front of the lens and just moving it around, you can change the effects that you get. Oh, that's infrared. So just to give you some idea, let me see if there's any other examples. Yeah, here's some more examples. I really like this filter. I have a lot of fun with it, especially during fireworks and things. And let's see. Here's a 58 millimeter filter set. This has a variable ND from 2 to 32, a circular polarizer, and a black diffusion set. So this is really ideal filter set for 20 bucks. And it comes with a case and microfiber cloth. This is a great deal. This will fit the 12 to 45 f4 Pro, which is the kit lens that comes with the OM3. So I can definitely recommend this filter set. It's just the right blend, I think. You know, a light duty variable ND, a CPL, and a diffusion filter set. The diffusion, a lot of people like that, just to give a little bit of a soft glow. The black diffusion gives a little more contrast, but still soften the edges. You know, the white diffusion generally is softer overall and has less contrast. But this comes with the black diffusion. I haven't used my black diffusion filter too much, but it does help, particularly with portraits, to soften the shine on the skin a little bit. So I like to use it for that. And of course the ND filter. Now the ND filter that comes in this kit is not a true color ND filter, but it's a pretty light duty one. It's only 2 to 32. So the color shift may not be quite so bad, and but you will have to fix it in post. And then 50% off this diffusion. This is kind of useful for macro photography. I wouldn't use this for portraits. It's not going to soften the light that much. But for macro photography, it helps get the light out in front of the lens so that you can get, you know, a nice clean macro shot, right? And I've used this time to time, and it collapses down flat so that you can take it with you everywhere. It's only $6.49, and it works great. And like I said, I would recommend this for like macro photography, like out in the field. Okay, and then speaking of Bluetooth remote triggers, this is if you have a Nikon camera, one of these models that they reference here, $15. That's a deal. I bought a couple last time when the Canon and the Fuji one were on sale, and they work great. So here are the ones that I bought. I bought one for my Canon and one for my Fuji. And you know, you go through the pairing instructions. It's a little tricky, but once you figure it out, you only have to do it once, and then they work forever. The only downside to these are, you know, I can't imagine it would ever be a problem, but the batteries are not replaceable. It has its own built-in lithium-ion battery, but you should be able to go for years and years with no problem. I only paid $15, so I'm not worried about it. But having a remote trigger is very, very useful for all different kinds of photography. You know, long exposure, macro photography, fireworks, you know, all kinds of things. A remote shutter is another essential tool, I think, for every photographer. So whenever I get an opportunity to get one at a good deal, I pick one up, right? I only pick up so many because I have so many different cameras. But yeah, this is the most elegant solution, a simple Bluetooth remote. Then you don't have to deal with cables and wires and transmitters and receivers. You know, this one does a lot more. It's also an intervalometer, but I think, no, a lot of cameras have built-in intervalometers now. So it makes this kind of redundant in some use cases. But yeah, so if you have a Nikon camera, I don't have a Nikon camera, so otherwise I was thinking about getting one just in case I ever do get a Nikon camera, but then by then this will go on sale, or I can wait for another sale. Okay. All right. And another thing this is more of a recent phenomenon where memory prices have just skyrocketed. And these are the best deals I could find on memory cards that didn't have terrible ratings. Now the EMTC, this is 128 gig. Oops. This is 128 gig regular SD card, V10 or V30, class 10 V30. I've bought this brand before when the V60 card was on sale. You will not find a 128 gig V30 card for $12 anywhere on the planet, okay? But I've been using this brand for a couple of months now with no issues. So who's to say in a year that I might run into issues? But right now, if you need a memory card, I think, you know, and you don't want to spend $50 to $100 for a 128 gig card, because if I were to try to get the SanDisk version of this, it's freaking expensive. Digiera also, they've been around a while. I've seen this brand on Amazon for years now. And they got good reviews. You know, you got to take those with a grain of salt. But 256 gig for a V60 card. This is a V60. Okay. So this is going to be very, very fast card. Let me just double check though. Because every now and then you'll get like a review that matters. This is the regular V30 card. This is the V10. This is the V60. Okay, so yeah, so I want to just make sure, because I've seen SD cards advertised as V60, but they're not. They're V30 cards, but this one looks like a legit V60. So this is the best deal you're going to find on a 256 gig V60, and this makes a huge difference in the buffering performance of your OM1, or any camera. For example, when I use a V30 card, it takes about 45 seconds to flush out 90 images on my OM1. If I use a V60 card, it only takes 15 seconds to flush out, the buffer on my OM1 or my OM3 for that matter. So if you are pushing, using Pro Capture and SH2 and, 25 to 50 frames per second, you definitely want to go V60. If you're more of a street shooter, portrait shooter, landscape, then you can go with the V30 and save some money. But if you're a sports action shooter, you really have to get a V60 card. And everything since the Pen F is used, at least in Olympus and OM systems, they've all used UHS-2 slots. So your camera is going to perform better regardless of which OM system Olympus camera you have, if you have a V60 card in it. But just because it performs better doesn't mean you need it, right? Sometimes all you need is a V30 card. So this V30 card from EMTC is the way to go, because Digiera also has a 256 V30 card for $30, and that's a good deal. And if you buy a pair, it looks like you can save 5%. But memory card prices are just crazy because, like, let me click on this one. If we go down here, let's find, that's a V90. Well, I'll just type it in. It's not coming up. SanDisk V30 256. Yeah, $92. Here's one for $70. So you get the idea. This for $29. This is like half the price of a SanDisk. And I get it. There's ratings here that really only apply when you're using it in a computer. If you're using it in your camera, as long as it says V30 on there, you're going to be okay. Regardless of what these 100 megabits, 170 megabits, it has all these ratings on it. These two V30 cards are going to perform just as well in your camera as any other V30 card, regardless of how many megabits per second they tell you. Now, in your computer, you will get faster read and write times in a computer, in a lot of cases. There's a lot of variables there, but in your camera, it doesn't matter. Also, I wanted to show you these two lenses. This is a Sony, just real quick, this is a Sony battery set on sale. There's a $10 coupon here. So for $30, you're getting two Sony batteries, a fast OLED, LCD display charger. It's a 20-watt charger, so it'll charge your batteries pretty fast. So I can recommend this charger here. If you have this is for the Sony. This is the smaller of the two Sony batteries. So ZV-10, A65, a lot of popular cameras here. Most of the full frame cameras now have the larger batteries, the newer ones, but all their APS-Cs and smaller cameras use this battery. Okay, let me shut down these windows before I crash something. Okay. Panasonic, if this lens works really well on OM systems or Panasonic. This is a great deal. It's very similar to the 40 to 150 kit lens from Olympus. But if you have a Panasonic camera, I recommend you get this. Because generally speaking, Panasonic lenses work better on Panasonic, and Olympus cameras and OM system cameras work better with Olympus OM system cameras. But on Panasonic, this also has dual sync image stabilization, right? Because the lens has optical the lens has optical stabilization, and your camera typically has image stabilization, so they work together. And this is going to give you the best results. And this is a really good deal, $148. And I haven't heard anybody tell me that this was any better or any worse than the standard 40 to 150 that you can get with OM Systems and Olympus. Same thing goes for this 25 millimeter. This is a great lens. It doesn't work quite as well on OM system cameras, but it does work. But I would recommend this for anyone that has a Panasonic camera, hands down. For OM system and Olympus cameras, some people have been reporting there's some back focusing issues at f4. I haven't experienced that personally. This lens has always worked really well for me, but for $148, this is a really good deal. And you can get a very, very fast prime, especially if you're shooting like the G9, G9 Mark II, any of the Panasonics. This is a great lens to have. And then I talked about all of these lenses last week. These are all great lenses. Here's some additional 10-stop ND filter. Yeah, so I bought, this is the one I bought. I paid $11.39. So I was going to show you a couple of pictures. Let me see. This is not a great example, but I just put it on my camera yesterday and I took this picture. This is in my front yard. I was just testing that out. You know, I'm not trying to win any contests here. But this was, what I wanted to show you was the settings. This is a 1/160th of a second, f4, ISO 1600. Just to give you some perspective on how dark this image is. This one, okay, here's one. 1/200th of a second, f4, ISO 200. And everything is completely black except for the sun here. Let me zoom in. So, you know, like I said, I'm just messing around, but I wanted to see, for example, this image here is a 60-second exposure. 60 seconds at f4 ISO 200 with a 16 stop ND filter. And this is barely, just barely the correct exposure. So this will give you really, really long exposures in broad daylight. 60 seconds here, no problem. And if I stop down to f8, you know, we're talking a couple of, you know, we're talking probably 4 minutes of exposure time. And if I combine this with live comp, I can do some really, really creative things. So I'm excited about trying this filter out and doing some crazy things with it, with long exposure. Okay. I'm so sorry, the sound. What I was saying was, what bothers me about, now I love this camera by far, more than any other camera. So that said, this is a great deal, $16.99. I would pay that. I would pay the full price over again if I had to buy it again today. But getting it at $16.99 is just kind of a bonus. But what irks me about this sale, and this is true across all camera manufacturers, but I've noticed this more often with OM systems, is they said this sale is going to end March 1st. But now, what is it? March 3rd. It's still on sale. So, I'm not saying risk it, and go past the sale date, wait to the last minute. If you want the camera, get it while it's on sale. But if you think you're going to miss the sale date, like if you're on the fence, don't buy it if you're on the fence just because it's on sale, because it'll go on sale again. Okay? But I've noticed Canon's starting to do this now. Sony's been doing it for years and years. Everybody does it. But it just irks me when I'm trying to show you guys a good deal and I say you need to get this now because the sale ends March 1st. And then here we are March 3rd and this thing is still on sale. So I'm not going to push anybody to buy something just because it's on sale, because odds are it'll be on sale again, if not longer than they say. All right. But that said, yeah, this camera, no question, this is a good deal. This is a great camera. You should get it if you like that style. My buddy David, he, a lot of my friends don't like the OM3 styling. They'd rather have the OM1 with the grip, and all of that. So I get that. So those are the main things I wanted to show you today. So I'm going to go to the chat section and see what else is new. So Jeff says he's never had to clean a sensor. Cool. And Jeff says, same all the time with my Sony though. Yeah, my Sony, man. I'm serious. I took it out one time and I think I came back and I saw spots on this sensor from just taking it out one time. Fortunately, the blower was able to take it off, but yeah. And the Gray Vanzini came in. Good to see you. And Paul says, Rob, the 8 to 25, 12 to 100 both take 72mm filters. Got them just after I had purchased my 67 filter set. Oh, cool. I mean, for filters, if you use them a lot, you might as well buy the one that fits the lens. I don't like to use step rings if I don't have to. They can cause other issues, vignetting. And, I mean, that's the main thing with wide angle lenses. You can get vignetting when you start using step rings. And they're a hassle, so that's why I got these, filter wrenches to get the frickin' step rings off the filter. God, sometimes I keep my filter wrenches together with my step rings. And Hiker just says, FYI, the IT32 and X5 trigger are now 10% off on Amazon. Possible better choice than the IT30, yes. So the main advantage of the IT32, let me pull that up. So the IT32, right, is it comes with the trigger, so you can use it off camera very easily. I don't know where I put mine. It's probably still in my backpack. But this flash is very useful. Where is my IT32? Here. I have a couple of videos. I have a review video of this, of course. But I also did a couple of videos about using this as a wireless trigger. So it's really, really versatile. Because it just attaches magnetically. And you don't have to worry about the magnet. It's very strong. Here's my OM3. So for example, it'll hold the weight of my OM3. I have to really kind of shake it to get it off. But if I'm just holding it, yeah, no problem. And then there's that. So it's a very strong magnet. Yeah, $88. That's a good deal. You got to get it with the X5 trigger that's compatible with your camera, though. Oh. But yeah, $10, why not? Thanks for sharing that. And Jeff says, I've got both the 40 to 150 and the 45 to 150. The Panny is a metal mount and smoother zoom and is better built. Although the zoom goes in the opposite direction, image quality is about the same. So yeah, that's what I've been hearing from everyone. I didn't think about the metal mount. That's definitely a bonus, right? But yeah, the 45 to 150 optically, I heard is just the same. And VBT says, do you start your photo editing streams on Fridays around the same time? I sent a picture in and don't want to miss it. Yes. Usually Fridays about 9:30ish. I try to start around 9:30. Okay. Looks like we're all caught up on the chat, and I've showed you guys all my deals. I'm going to add this IT32. That is a really good deal. That's the Canon one. And what's interesting is the IT32, you can buy it without the X5 trigger for $70, right? So that you can buy multiple of these and have a multi-flash camera setup for a lot less money. I mean, there's compromises here. Like if you watch my video on multi-flash camera setup, you'll see what those compromises are. But it's, you know, I like the modularity of the system. It really gives you a lot of options in your lighting. Okay, we'll call it here. So I don't see any more questions. I want to thank everyone for your support and looking for deals together. It's always a lot of fun, right? I'm going to go out and do some more photography this week. I have to still have to review this 8100 Pro version too. It's a great little flash. It surprised me. I didn't think I would like this flash as much as I do. But I really like this flash. I mean, it's expensive. It's $300, right? I think. But it's really good. Really good flash. So you guys have a good day. Try to do that every day, and you'll have a good life. So eat healthy and exercise. I'd like to be with you guys a long time, work together, share this passion we have, photography, and stream together. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you guys all again soon.